Everybody forget what just happened. Take a breath. Hello, YouTube! It's Craving Rant episode 2. We're going to be talking about sleep today. I have some articles from the Sleep Foundation. I read some stuff on some Stanford articles, some things on cortisol, good sleep hygiene, bad sleep hygiene. Last episode was about toxicity. This episode is about sleeping. And we're going to sort of just have like a nice chill conversation about it. I got some of my homies in the chat. I got some really cool people. Hopefully people will trickle in as we talk, and hopefully everybody on YouTube, that you guys can actually interact. If you haven't already, try to join me on when it's live. It's on 6:30 Eastern on Sunday or Saturday or Wednesday. I stream on those other days. That's why I was thinking that. It's so 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. We do it live. We're doing it live. And then on then afterwards we play video games. But it's usually like a 15, 30-minute conversation. Sometimes we go longer. We went longer last time. So like that, the plan is sort of just feel it out. But I really love the interaction. So if you're out there at YouTube land and you can make it, come hang out. Come do it. But we got the homies in the chat. So we got Nuke and Dianasaur, and I know Jess is out there. Gilly, the Gilster's out there. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about sleep. So let's just start off with my first main point. Are you guys ready for this? This is simple. And this is just basic, all right? Watch, check this out. All right, check this out. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, could you be on the right screen, please? What the? Hello? There we go. We got it. Super simple. All right, I'm gonna make this nice and big. Nice and big. 72. That's probably big enough. You buttholes need more sleep. That's a fact. Pretty much anything says that most, I think, I'm just going to speak from America, but I'm pretty sure it's like most of Western society, and I have no idea about Eastern society, but we all almost don't sleep what we need to sleep. It's especially in America, but a lot of other industrialized places. What? Arrested butthole's a happy butthole. Yeah, it's a fact. But yeah, the fact is we all most likely need more sleep. I don't know. I know there's like a bunch of different devices. I use a Whoop strap. But when you monitor your sleep, you really start to realize how much sleep you're not getting. And some of you are probably doing it, and if you're sleeping exactly what you need to sleep, great. But the numbers kind of vary, but from most things I see, it's like anywhere from like 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what most people probably need. So what is that? If you go to bed at like 10 o'clock, you're going to need to sleep until 7 o'clock. Is that right? I'm not good at math. I think that's about right. I think that's about what my Whoop strap tells me. So the moral of this whole, I mean, we could just cut off podcast now. Here's the reality. You guys need more sleep. But so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about sort of what happens when you don't get enough sleep, why you might need more sleep. I'm going to try to convince you. Well, in my experience, people who have aspirations and busy lives at the same time, typically one of the first things that they cut out hours of sleep, right? I mean, I've been guilty of it too. Like with me starting my stream, my sleep I've lost probably on average by like an hour every night. And there's a lot of problems with that. I think that's pretty common. It's like people say like, okay, sleep is wasted time. But that is not true. I know it can feel that way, but it's actually not true. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So what are the downfalls of not sleeping? That is our first question. And I actually I went through. So these different things are from a series of articles. And I'm going to kind of just go through them one by one. So the first one is, all right, you don't have to read. You don't have to know that you're a butthole anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so rude, toxic. Okay. The first one is, let's see. Which one? Weight gain. Well, we're going to get there. You trying to skip ahead? You trying to skip ahead? Yeah. Well, let's go start with that. First one is increased can I spell? Cortisol. So number one. Hey, listen. This isn't name out what's on Jonathan's list. All right. jDemise is doing his best here. Okay. We're gonna start with cortisol because Noxus just flat out had to guess, and then now he started a thing. Okay. All right. No. Here's the reality. Increased cortisol is not wrong. So one of the things that happens is, can I put this in here? No, I can't. Where did I get this from? I got this from Healthline. Check this out. So for high cortisol, so what are the symptoms of high cortisol? So here's a fact, all right? When you get not enough sleep, your cortisol levels rise, and when your cortisol levels, it's a hormone. So basically, it's just stress hormone. So when you're stressed out, cortisol increases, and that hormone it's a balance, like a lot of things in the body. You don't want not enough, but if you have too much, you have a problem too. So here's some of the things, and here's one of the big ones I experienced right there, homie. Acne. It's in here somewhere for sure. Weight gain right off the back, right? That's what Nox just talked about. Especially like weight gain and rounding of the face. Yeah, the midsection, right? Cortisol is sort of one of those things that people say when you're stressed, you kind of collect that like spare tire sort of thing going on. Thinning skin. That was an interesting one. I didn't really realize that. And thinning skin and easy bruising, flushed face, slowed healing. Muscle weakness, severe fatigue. See, I don't, and like I'm not even gonna claim to be like a medical doctor here. I don't know exactly what the threshold is before you start getting this, and I imagine it sort of depends on the person. One of the other big ones is high blood pressure and headache, right? So like all of these things, right? Good rest can help prevent this stuff because it will prevent high cortisol levels. Noxious. Yeah, I don't sleep and I'm an 18-wheeler tire now. Yikes. Easy bruising. Whoa, that might explain some things. Yeah, I know, right? See, like it's one of those things like we don't think about this stuff. Like obviously we know like when we get stressed out, it's harder to concentrate, right? And like we know, like obviously it's when we're stressed out or we're feeling like tired, not feeling good, and you know that kind of stuff. But we don't always think about some of this other stuff. So higher cortisol levels, these things, freaking nuts, right? So getting more sleep can prevent these things or at least lessen these things. Okay. The next thing. All right, and this was an interesting one, and I don't have the link to the article, but number 2 is you can actually make you crave junk food. Okay, now this was a Stanford article, so you could probably just Google it. I could probably Google it, but it's not really important to read the whole article. But I did that for you. But essentially, what it said is as you get sleep deprived, this makes sense. As you get sleep deprived, your body starts to crave like salty foods, sugary foods, garbage foods, right? So, and it's because those foods are high high calorie, high energy. So your body is essentially trying, if the way I understood it was your body's trying to like get the fatty foods, get the high carbohydrate foods, and it's trying to ramp up that energy. So as you get sleep deprived, you start craving those foods, right? Well, so you got two things right there for Noxious point: weight gain, right? So you're already stressed out, so the calories are going to hit you harder. But then on top of that, you're craving junk food to keep you awake. So you're going to eat junk food and then go sleep on it. You're going to have less energy in the morning, so you're less likely to be active the next day, right? So all these things are starting to compound. And that's kind of what you're going to see. As we go through this list, you're going to notice that all of these collapse on themselves, and they don't paint a pretty picture. And that's kind of what I noticed. All right, next. This one seems pretty obvious to me, but now we're going to start to get in the ones that I was particularly pointing out for you content creators out there and you gamers out there. Body's craving cheap energy, exactly, because you're just starving it. You're starving it of what it needs, and there's more to it than just the weight gain and cortisol levels and stuff like that. There's also the cognitive part, which I'm actually going to get into a little bit more here in a second once we chew through this list. There's a few more things that I'm pointing out. So actually, I should put a title on this because you guys are going to get lost. I mean, obviously. I mean, I know you guys in Twitch chat are awesome. You guys on YouTube, though, I don't know what kind of riffraff we got out there. You guys might need a little bit of a PowerPoint to get through this. But if you are enjoying it, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Anyway, so negative consequences of sleep. Of lack of sleep. That's what consequences, right? Don't worry about it. So increased cortisol, you start to crave junk food. That was a Stanford article. We'll go ahead and put that Stanford article. That was actually an interesting article. The study was linked, but I didn't actually go through all the details on the study, but it was all there. It was actually pretty interesting. The next thing was, let's see here, slower processing, and 4, slower reaction times. These kind of go together. So here's the problem, right? If you're a content creator, you're probably, especially on Twitch or something, you're probably a gamer. So you're probably out there grinding, and I know any of you people who have done anything that's hand-eye coordination or demanding and fast pace, as you get tired, that just seems to speed up more and more and more. Well, the reason that is as you get more tired and more sleep deprived, Vampire Legends, yeah, exactly. As you get more and more sleep deprived, your brain processes slower and slower, and then your stress levels go up higher and higher. And so then you start to compensate with that junk food. You try to compensate. Maybe you start hitting that caffeine, and then and we're gonna talk about later. Caffeine is great for keeping that alertness in the moment, but it's terrible for the sleep on the back end. So all of this stuff is going to just compound. But then you get slower reaction time, slower processing. I don't have the study in here, but are you guys aware or ever heard of essentially as you get more sleep deprived? Actually, I think this was in one of the trainings we did at work for because I work for the state, so they do a AAA driver's course. But I actually saw an article on it too. It's probably all from the same research, probably all from the same research, but essentially it's if you get between 3 to 5 hours of sleep the night before, it's comparable to a certain amount of intoxication. I don't do caffeine past 11 a.m. otherwise I'm wired. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But if you don't get enough sleep, so I think it's 3 to 5 hours, you perform as if somebody who's had a certain amount of alcohol. And then it's if you only get 2 to 3 hours, I think it was, then it's essentially you're driving drunk. Legitimately, you perform as if you are above the legal limit for drinking alcohol. So you got to think about that. Like if you're like really pushing it on your sleep and you're not getting that sleep, then you're basically drunk, right? And I don't know about you, but when I'm gaming or I'm like doing whatever, I am not on my A game when I'm hammered. It might be fun sometimes, but it's certainly not my most skilled or my most effective means of doing it. So like there can be some entertainment value to it, I guess, for a streamer. Like as they get more and more sleep deprived, they start to get a little more silly and like a little whatever. But the reality is, like streaming in particular is really demanding. It's a lot of multitasking. It's a lot of creative energy going into it throughout. And I can't possibly imagine that after like a certain amount of time that it's just not, you're exponentially like losing out, right? As he wears the jDemise t-shirt. Yeah, exactly. So you're not really gaining ground there, right? Like if you're just like, let's say you're doing like a 24-hour stream, by the time like you're at the 6-hour mark, I other people have talked about this. I'm pretty sure Devin Nash talked about this. I'm gonna end up mentioning him a lot because I really like his podcast stuff. But if you, as soon as you get past that 6-hour mark, I think he was talking about it before, but essentially the numbers are that you start to drop off. You're not gaining progress on your stream. But then on top of that, if you're compounding that with the idea of you haven't slept, so you like start to get out into the area where you're not rested and you're on a 24-hour stream, the cost benefit on that is not great. But now think about this. Let's say you're only streaming 6 hours, but then you're doing video editing for another 4. You also work a full-time job. Like all of that stuff's going to pile up, and then you're only going to get like 4 hours of sleep. So then when you get whatever you're going to do the whole next day, not just stream, your whole day, you're basically performing like you're drunk. So it doesn't add up, right? And there's what was the term? Dang it, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it, and then I forgot it anyway. But there it is. There's a cumulative effect. So they call it a sleep debt. Yes, I heard it a million times, and I saw it again and it reminded me. There's a concept called sleep debt, where essentially like over time, like if it's like over a week, if you're like taxing that sleep by an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, hour there, then it's going to add up to where you're not performing to your maximum ability. Even if you do get, like, let's say Monday, let's just look at my schedule. Okay, let's say Wednesday, I get on a stream, I hop on at 6:30, rave a rant. I'm rested because Monday and Tuesdays were my day off. I made sure I went to bed, did everything right. Okay, well, tonight, let's say I push it, I stay up till midnight, but then I wake up at 6 o'clock, get ready for work, head to work. Well, today I had not to brag, but I had a pretty good workout. So I had a pretty good workout. So that taxes my body, right? I didn't eat as well as I should. Diana's probably mad at me. But I'll probably snack a little bit here while we're streaming. But so then you got to eat right? And then I do the stream. And then let's say like I get really excited while we're playing State of Decay later, I push it out and like I stay up till like 11:30, right? Well, then I'm staring at a screen until like 11:30. Bad sleep hygiene. And then from there, I go to bed, try to unwind, and then my dumb butt sits there and like watches a Twitch stream, more screen, more light, more bad sleep hygiene, and then I stay up till like 1, right? And so from 1 until 6 o'clock, I sleep. Well, that's only 5 hours of sleep max, but as far as like REM sleep and deep REM sleep, you're not going to get a whole lot of that, which is really what you need. So by the end of it, I've taxed myself a lot. Okay, well, that's Wednesday. Well, then Thursday, let's say Thursday, I'm tired, but let's say I am disciplined enough to like go have another good workout. I stay on my stream, I get through it. Maybe I drink some caffeine, whatever. Well, let's say Thursday, it's like 6 hours of sleep. Well, I didn't make up the difference. In fact, I'm still in debt, right? So that's the idea. You're still in debt. Like you're not catching up. Well, then Friday, let's say I finally get my shit together, right? it's my day off again. And that's actually why I have a day off on Friday. So it's my day off again. Well, I take it easy. I make sure that I wind down towards the end of the night. I calm down. I'm not playing like an intense game. Maybe I'm just watching like a chill show. I go to bed, 9:30, 10 o'clock, sleep, get nice rest. Don't start my next stream till 10. Then I stay up to play. No, I'm not going to stay up to play Fable 2. I'm getting my shit together, okay? So on Friday, I get my shit together. I get my rest. Right? Problem is, it's not like Saturday I wake up and I've made up the difference because I had one good night. I might feel better than I did the day before, but it doesn't just get it all back in line. So that's kind of the idea of the sleep debt, right? Is over time, this isn't exactly like 100% confirmed kind of thing, but that's kind of one of the theories out there. Is like over time you actually can tax your body, and you don't just necessarily make it up in one night. The other myth is that like, oh well, I only got like 3 hours of sleep, but it's no big deal. I used to do this in college. It's no big deal. I got like 3 hours of sleep. I'll go to class. We'll tough out class. I'll sleep when I'm dead, Mattel, yeah. But anyway, so I'll sleep 3 hours, right? Then I'd go to class, come back, take a nap, right? Take like a little 1 hour nap, 2 hour nap, go back to class, come back, game all night, get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then do it again, right? And in my head, I'm like, well, I got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, then I went to class, then I took a 2 hour nap, so that's like 6 hours. No, dummy. That's not how that works. Because what you really need, a nap can be helpful in like making you more alert. Like it can kind of give you like a little bit of a boost in the day, which actually for me it does, and I hate them. Sorry, you nappers out there, but it just doesn't do me any damn good. But it doesn't really work that way. The nap doesn't get you into that REM sleep. It doesn't get you into that restorative sleep. So it doesn't really give your brain that time to do its restorative thing while you're sleeping. So no, dummy. Just because you took a 2 hour nap does not mean you made up the difference the night before. And just because you got 6 hour or like 8 hours today and 4 hours yesterday doesn't mean you made up for yesterday. It doesn't work that way. You're taxing your body throughout. So that's something to keep in mind. Anyway, okay, I got on a rant. Sorry, that's why we call it Raven rant. Okay, slower reaction times, slower processing times. And these are not going to be a shocker, so we're just going to go boom, boom, boom and go through these. So less creativity, no shock there. Less, that's an interesting way I put it, less efficiency. And less, holy cow, okay, we'll get it. I actually rested and I still suck. Okay, less motivation, okay, nailed it, first try. Okay, so these three are no shocker, right? So when you're looking at all this stuff and everything's packing on, right? You got these increased cortisol levels, your stress hormones through the roof. You're craving junk food, so you're eating garbage. You're feeling like crap when you wake up in the morning. You got slower processing times, slower reaction times, and that's while you're doing it, and that's also the next day, right? It's literally like being drunk the next day. And then, I mean, these all just come right into play when you're fatigued, when you're not processing, when you're not, whatever. You're just surviving. You're getting by. And when you're just getting by, your efficiency levels are down. Your motivation is down. Your creativity is down. All these things, especially for like a content creator, but literally anything you're doing, but anything, it's not good, right? All of this shit is just eating away at your maximum potential. So like if you're on a scale of, at like a 100% scale, right? You're like operating at like 50% all the time. It's like, okay, if you're operating at 50% for an extra 2 hours every night, congratulations. You're not really gaining anything. Wouldn't it be better to operate at like 90% or 80% and then lose those couple hours, like you would be more efficient in the time that you are doing it, and you would be more creative, you'd be more motivated, you'd be more focused. And more focused is better, right? I'm someone who used to operate on the mindset, what was it? Yeah, Dinosaur said it was right there. That's the problem with the I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality. I kind of had, not quite that aggressive, but I kind of had that mentality where it's like, whatever, man, I'll just be tired. No big deal. Just suck it up. Just take a nap if I have to, but I'll just get through it. Well, as I've gotten older, I've matured in some areas, not others. I'm still a man-child, but like for sleep in particular, I'm not always great at it. But there was a point in my life where I decided, like, hey, I realize I'm a grown man, but I need a bedtime. Like, it's not doing me any good to stay up late, and I'm just oh, that's the other thing, irritability. You become a butthole. You don't want to be a butthole, but you become a butthole. Like, you get irritable too. So not only are you not operating well, you also are most likely making it hard to deal with. So you're probably not going to get the support you normally would either. Yeah, you don't want to be a grumpy bitch. Nobody wants to be a grumpy bitch. And I already am, so I definitely don't need anything pushing that long. All right, so these are not negative consequences. We all think about that. Makes sense, right? Essentially, you're pushing it, you're starving your brain out, and your brain don't work. If your brain don't work, you don't work. So that's... I'm sure there's other consequences too that we could think of, but I mean, like, you're getting the picture here, right? You also got to remember the cortisol list that we had up earlier too. So you have all that stuff, but then you actually like have like legitimate medical consequences too, right? The weight gain, muscle weakness, all that stuff. The thinning of skin, bruising, all that. Okay. So, how is lack of sleep defined? Well, so we kind of glanced over that, Vander. I appreciate you showing up, man. I heard you had a session and you had to squeak in when you could. So we're talking about the negative consequences, as you can see. But I kind of looked. There's a lot of variation, which I'm sure you're aware, in what the recommended hours of sleep, but different things. But essentially, after reading a few articles and whatever, it seems to be like between like 7 and 9. But it varies on age too. As you get older, like with geriatric ages, you actually need less sleep. And I didn't actually look at the numbers of that because I figured most people listening probably aren't geriatric. If you are, I appreciate you. I love extremely old viewers. But I'm assuming most of us are not. And in fact, the numbers for teenagers, I did read an article on that. I think they recommended 9, like closer to the 9. So it's like as you get older, you actually need a little bit less. And then when you talk about, quality of sleep, you're actually talking about a different thing too. I kind of mentioned it throughout, but you're also talking about the quality of sleep. So as far as like getting into REM sleep and deep REM sleep and all that kind of stuff. We did talk about that with naps. So hopefully that kind of caught you up a little bit and rehashed a little bit for where we're at for everybody else. Okay, so one other thing that's kind of cool. We're gonna just get. Okay, so the next thing that's really kind of cool and something that there's a lot of different studies on, and I actually don't know the guy's name, but he was on Rogan's podcast. He did does a lot of research on this, but he does a lot of sleep research and things like that. But it's becoming more and more popular to talk about the reality that not only is sleep restorative, but you actually can like actively solidify what you've learned for the day, or like you actually are processing in your sleep. It's not wasted time, because that was one of the other things we talked about. Is a lot of people feel like it's wasted time, right? I'll sleep when I'm dead, that kind of thing. But you actually, how did I word it on here? Because I read it out of things. Sleep solidifies learning. And I don't remember, I think that might have been from a Stanford article where I got that terminology, maybe not. Either way, you get the idea. Sleep solidifies learning. And I have a cool example of this for my own personal experience. For those of you who don't know, I played the butt cheeks out of Call of Duty 4, and I also played a lot of Counter-Strike. And at one point in those, I was sponsored, but it was like low level. But I was definitely seriously, it was like low level sponsor. I wasn't pro, but I had some sponsorships. I only tell you that to say I was a serious gamer. Like I was gaming like 10 hours a day, competitive gaming. Like I had my squad, and if y'all are watching, I love you guys. And we would game a lot, and especially me and my boy Peevler. We would strategize a lot, and a lot of competitive gaming. There's a lot of strategy and a lot of, like to go this way, to go that way, or hey, if we are spawn trapping, we'll do, you set up here, you set up here, you set up here. This should be a perfect spawn trap. You can roam, all that kind of stuff. So like we would sit there and we would just boom, boom, boom throughout the night, come with all these things. But one of the really cool things I noticed is, and it's actually when I started to realize how important sleep was. I would actually go to sleep, and sometimes I just flat out dream about the game, and I would like dream up strategies. Like I would still be thinking about it and like literally dreaming about the map and moving around the map and doing different things. But like literally when I woke up, whatever I was thinking about the night before, I had processed through it, and I was just itching to talk to Peeves because I was like, dude, I figured it out. And I would imagine this could be with a lot of different things, whether it's like martial arts or whatever, man. Like if you're doing jujitsu or you're doing, I don't know, you're a mathematician or something else. Like if you're like actively working on a problem, and then you say, all right, it's late, let me shut this down, get some sleep, wake up, and come back at it. You laughing at me? Then you actually, there's a pretty good chance that sleep is going to help you find the solution. Your brain still works while you're sleeping. It actually gets into a different zone and processes information in a more like meditative kind of state. What was that guy's name? Andrew Hubbard, I believe was his name. He was recently on the Rogan podcast as well. I'm following his Instagram now. I think it's Hubbard. Andrew Hubbard. Anyway, he is doing a lot of research on like learning and processing and like optimal focus and like meditative states and things like that, and like getting into like a hypnotic state or a sleep-like state but not asleep, and the benefits of that as far as processing and learning. And all of the trends are that if you can get into these states, it's much more efficient. The lower you can get your I don't want to say stress, because actually stress is important, because as humans, being the little primates we are, like you actually need that. Stress is important at stimulating forward movement, I think is kind of how he put it. But when you get in that focus state, that flow state, that's another way to put it, like a flow state, you're much more effective at absorbing information and learning. And especially as adults, it's harder and harder to get into that. Anyway, but sleep is also like, so it's not just restorative, it's actually active. It's an active process that allows you to solidify the information you're learning throughout the day. So when someone says sleep on it, there's actually some truth to that. Like you sleep on it, you wake up, you might come at it from a different perspective, but it might not just be that you took a break from it. It actually, you might be that you were able to get into a different like mental state while you're sleeping that was able to work out some details that you didn't even really realize you were working out. Maybe it's like on almost like a subconscious level, or sometimes somewhat conscious. For myself, I remember like literally I would solve the problem while I'm sleeping. I remember like dreaming about all the things we were talking about and then just figuring it out. It's like, oh, there's the answer, you know? So another reason to sleep. It's an active process. So here's the question. If sleep is all of these things, right? All this bad shit, right? Increased cortisol level, it can cause you to gain weight, it causes you, according to that Stanford article, causes you to crave junk food, also not helping with your weight. Your mood tanks, your processing sucks, your reaction time sucks, you're less creative, less efficient, less motivated. You actually become a legitimate butthole that just spews out negativity and farts. Nobody likes you. That's a little harsh, but you get the point. And on top of that, you're losing out on an opportunity to cement information that you're learning throughout the day. So being like efficient to a whole nother degree where you're actually solidifying like these learned skills that you work so hard on during the day, just another opportunity to really ram that home. So why don't we do it? Well, I thought of some things, but y'all are welcome to join in on this one. All right. Okay. So why don't we sleep? We kind of touched on some of it earlier. I think a lot of it can be time constraints, right? Especially for us that are like pretending to be adults and doing our best, just white knuckling it through life, trying to have fun still, but also trying to survive. So like that, that's a problem, right? So we got time constraints. So we're just like, hey, something's got to give. And if it's an hour of sleep, I got to get this done. If I don't get it done today, it's not going to get done. Happens. Next. Oh, and part of this. Instant gratification culture. And here's what I mean by that. I think, let me make sure I can still collect my thoughts on this. So I think part of why we feel so pressured to complete things right away is we live in a culture that demands instant results, if that makes sense. So I think we feel pressured to complete tasks now, because if we don't do it now, someone else is going to do it, and we're not going to be able to get those likes, or we're not going to be able to get that video out, or we're not going to be able to, compete. Especially American culture, it's very competitive that way. So I think we have this culture that's like, if first to the finish line is the winner, at all costs, damn the consequences, let's get there. And I think that plays into it too. I think that kind of plays into these time constraints. So you're clamped down on time, but then you also have a culture that says if you don't get it done, you suck. So you're like, well, guess I'm not sleeping. And you get it out. I think that's a little bit of a trick on your brain, but I think that's part of it. Another thing I think that really clamps down on us is, and you're gonna see me just smash on this all the time because I'm not a fan of where social media is at right now. I think social media is a new thing. I have hope for the future, but I think we're just dumb little pink monkeys and trying to figure this thing out. Like I think we don't get it. We're like little hairless monkeys trying to figure it out. And I think, well, some of us are hairy than others. Anyway, I think it plays into it too. So also maybe fear of missing out. If I'm sleeping, I'm missing out on things that are going could have yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And that's going to play into these two things, because instant gratification culture and social media, in my opinion, go hand in hand. But so like social media / games in general, okay, the reason they're so damn addictive is you're just like, hey, give dopamine, right? Like those likes and those gratifying results, right? Like I put out this really cool meme and I got like 300 likes. I feel awesome, like that kind of thing. Like it's like give dopamine, and you're ramping yourself up with your reward system. And I think a lot of times that plays into this, and video games are no different. I think that plays into a lot too. I guess it depends on the game, but in general, you're playing into that reward system, and I think that's just flat out fucking addictive, right? Like you're just, I am doing this, I'm enjoying it, I don't want it to stop. Just give, and then by the end of it, you look up and you're like, oh shit, I need to go to sleep. But you're already wound up and everything else, and you're waiting for your next hit. But I think that's part of it. I think social media plays right into it too. I'm not one to do it, but I know some people will be just fucking scrolling through Instagram all night long, right? Just like, not that, not that, and you just kind of get absorbed into these things, and you're not really paying attention to you as a person. You're kind of sucked into this world, and I think that's like a kind of distraction where we're just like getting these hits of dopamine. Maybe related, maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was important to mention because I just think it's always important to mention. Anyway, and then it kind of plays into this, I guess. We don't really focus on healthy sleep. I think this is just like sort of a general thing. Like when we're thinking about like how, like, I think a lot of times when people think about how they're going to improve themselves, they think, well, I need to go to the gym, I need to eat better, you know, I need to set a schedule, and I need to make sure I get these things done and those things done and that whatever. But I don't think usually on the list people, maybe more nowadays, because I think more people are spreading this message, but I don't think a lot of people are like, and I need to sleep more. I think a lot of times they see that list and they think the opposite. They're like, Donna, it's not about drinking water right now. Can you please stop? That's a wifey for you. Freaking water fixes everything. Anyway, so yeah. So it makes us feel good and distracts us from ourselves. I think that's legitimate. And I think this next point too. Like we don't really focus on healthy sleep. I think. You think about a lot of these other things. Sorry, I'm getting a little cyclical there. I was trying to think of a way to say what I was thinking. Sorry. I think we know that sleep's important, right? Because like you see jokes about it all the time, like I just want to sleep, I just want to whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But it's almost like it just loses to everything else a lot of times. Maybe that's just my experience with it. But I think it's the thing that's got to give. Vander's talking from like a counter right now. So he's saying, but if I sleep, I have to think about the day and thoughts, maybe racing, maybe sad. That doesn't feel good, and there's pressure from society that says if you are not happy, something is wrong. So there's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, maybe that's something too, right? Maybe we don't sleep because we are afraid to slow down and just be with ourselves. That's too much words. Slow down. Maybe let's do this. Slow down and think. And then we'll just talk about what we mean by that. and I might be interpreting you wrong, but I'm gonna go this way with it, and then you can rein me in if you have another thought. So like I think a lot of people, they're go all the time, distract, right? Whether it's dopamine hits from Twitter, whether it's a game, whether it's diving into your job, whether it's diving into a hobby, whether it's and I think a lot of times we distract, and we're not actually processing some of the things that are going on with us internally, and that cool down process that's so important, which we're going to talk about sleep hygiene. That's how we're going to wrap this up. There's a cool down process that's really important in it in order to get into that zone where you can actually drift off to sleep. Well, that's dangerous for someone who's trying to avoid their own thoughts, right? Because now you've unplugged from all these things and everything rushes in. And if you're one of those people, it might be that you got some things you need to unpack and work on, and then maybe that's where like finding a counselor or maybe a close friend or somebody's, but maybe that's where figuring out what things are causing that anxiety in you or that depression in you. Maybe it's time to figure out how to work that out. I'm not going to get super into that on here, but counselor people out there probably know what I'm talking about. But if that's what's impacting your sleep, then you probably got some things you need to unpack and work out. And it's not uncommon. I mean, because it can happen. Think about it. You could just have a bad day, and that could be a reality, right? Like, it doesn't have to be something that's like eternal, like. But for instance, like if you go to work, or for instance, like my day to day, or like my week, I guess. My car, I drive a 2015 Mustang, but with only 6,000 miles on it. Like I baby the hell out of my car, but it all of a sudden when I drove it home the other day, it felt like the transmission was doing something weird. Like when I'd shift into third or whatever, you don't need to know the details, but it feels like transmission, something's wrong with it or something's off. But then also Dinah was like, hey, weird thing. I was like going out and like all of your brake lights are on. So then also like I found out that like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but the switch that's like causing the brake lights to turn on is like stuck. So like, I don't know if it's an electrical problem or what. Anyway, you can tell it's stressing me out. My car jacked up. I don't like it. So then like now you add like an extra layer of stress, right? Cause like now like I need Diana to help me get back and forth to work, you know. I'm worried like, so how much is it going to cost? Like all this kind of stuff. It could be, I'm going to sleep easy cause I'm a G unit, but I'm a, no, I'm just kidding. It could be that all that stuff adds up to where you're like, oh shit, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to afford this? What if I can't afford it? What if I don't have a car? And like, you're just sitting there at night, just like, and then you're probably just going to go, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to look at Instagram because I can't, fuck it. It's too much. So that could happen. Right. And I've been there, not to overshare, but like I've been married and divorced before, and that was rough fucking times, man. And like there were plenty of nights where I had a hard time sleeping. There were plenty of nights where I self-medicated with this stuff. I got to tell you, another way to get shit sleep is alcohol. We didn't talk about that. Alcohol might knock you out, but you don't get into REM sleep. So it's not going to be a restful sleep. I learned that one the hard way. But relax. Carly needs to relax. Yeah, so you got to find a way to relax. So I am going to open up this website. So this is the sleepfoundation.org. I might have already opened it before. Whatever. Close tab. We're going to be fine. Okay. So this little thing, and it's probably gonna be too small for y'all if I do it like that. Too much. Okay. So they have like a definition of what sleep hygiene is, but I was gonna go through some of this stuff, but they have on here where they kind of discuss what sleep hygiene is. Sleep hygiene is a variety of different practices and habits that are necessary to have good nighttime sleep and full daytime alertness. Right? See, they're even pointing out too, full daytime alertness. So why is it important to practice good sleep hygiene? Obtaining healthy sleep is important for both physical and mental health. It can also provide productivity and overall quality of life. Everyone from children to older adults can benefit from practicing good sleep habits for all the reasons we already talked about, right? You don't want to be a butthole. Okay, so here are some of the things they listed. Limiting daytime naps to 30 minutes. I think I mentioned this. This must be where I got it. Napping does not make up for inadequate nighttime sleep. However, a short nap for 20 to 30 minutes can improve mood, alertness, and performance. So some of y'all probably feel that. I actually feel the opposite. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but when I take a nap, you might as well just hit me in the face with a sledgehammer because my day is ruined. Like I just blah. And I get like a zombie, which we're going to kill a lot of later. So yeah. And then stimulants, caffeine. Caffeine's a big one. And actually, if you want to talk about caffeine, caffeine's one I had a problem with. I'm actually using caffeine some again. But I had a time in my life where I had like lots of caffeine every day. And like actually when I stopped drinking caffeine, I like went through a period of like legitimate caffeine withdrawals. Like I was freaking sick for a while. Just really feeling off, like skin crawling, gross. So do not doubt that caffeine is 100% a drug, right? It is addictive as hell, and it is a drug. Nicotine as well. I don't have any experience with nicotine, but nicotine is a stimulant as well. So I don't know if any of y'all have experience with that, but nicotine is a stimulant. It also can jack up your sleep. Hey, nice typo, bro. Key 4? Or is that a typo? When it comes to alcohol, moderation is key 4. Got him. Okay. Anyway, so no caffeine. The other thing with caffeine, especially like kind of like what Vander was talking about, if you're someone who has anxiety in particular, caffeine is shit for someone with anxiety. It's activating that your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. Did I say that right? I think that's right. The parasympathetic nervous system, but your fight or flight system. So caffeine will activate that stuff. And that also is just piggybacking on what anxiety a lot of times is activating. So you're basically like, hey, let's get this jump started. And then like trying to go to sleep, which then you're more prone to have nightmares. And you're more prone to those racing thoughts. You're more prone to feeling that like dread and everything. And you're just ramping up your system before you go to sleep. So avoid caffeine. What do they recommend? Do they give a timeline? They're talking about alcohol here. While alcohol is known to help you fall asleep faster, much too close to bedtime can disrupt sleep in the second half of the night. Body begins to process the alcohol. Yeah. So you can crash, but you're not going to get that REM sleep. They don't actually talk about the caffeine here. I don't know if that's but I would recommend if you're going to drink caffeine, do it in the first half of the day, or try to avoid it in the evening times, for sure, in the evening times. But I usually try to, like, if I'm going to do it, I try to do it before lunchtime. That way it's completely out of my system. That being said, I'm full of shit because here recently I've been using caffeine before my workouts. But I use it before my workouts only when I know I'm going to do a blowout workout. And then I really haven't seen a problem with it affecting my sleep. And that's using my Whoop strap to kind of monitor my sleep. I haven't actually noticed it affecting my sleep. But if I do, you better believe I'm going to knock out that caffeine. I also try really hard not to use caffeine more than about 3 times a week. Because I really do not want to ever get addicted to caffeine again. So you just got to think of caffeine when you use it, that it's a tool. And if you're drinking it all the time, you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to build up a tolerance to it and you're going to need more and more and more. But on top of that, although it has benefits for alertness, you're much better off getting better sleep and trying to get that alertness naturally rather than through a chemical, in my opinion. Anyway, exercising to promote good quality sleep. Yes, 100%. If I can say anything here, please, if you're not exercising, exercise, damn it. Exercise is so good for you. Even if it's just like they said here, 10, 20 minutes, just if you can get your heart rate up throughout the day, it will absolutely help you at night. It will help you when we talk about anxiety and all that stuff. It'll help you with that too. dang it, I'm gonna talk about Rogan again. But I actually like had this thought too. He calls it a battery, but I think we actually build up like static, is what I've called it. For anybody, I think me and Jess had this conversation before, but I feel like we build up static throughout the day. Like we're designed to be in the wild, and we've developed into what we are now. But I think if we don't get that energy out, we build up this static during the day, and it's going to come out at some point. So you can either get it out doing these workouts, you can get it out doing like these intense things, these challenging things, and you can blow that energy out, or you can bottle it up and it's going to come out anyway. And sometimes it'll come out as anxiety, sometimes it'll come out as irritability, sometimes it will keep you from sleeping. Like I picture it like that. Like, so as you go through the day, you're just building it up more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And if you don't get it out, it's got to go somewhere. That's kind of how I see it. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's how I see it. And that's how I operate. So for me, I've consistently worked out for about 6 days a week, every week for the past few years. And aside from when I'm healing from tattoos and like if I get sick or something like that, I do try to take care of my body. I don't push through if I don't feel well, but in general, I feel good enough to do that. And over time, my workouts have increased from 20 to 30 minutes to being more like an hour and a half, and that's why I'm late for stream. Probably said I've been sleeping better since I started exercising. Also, how about you're awesome for working out? I've been trying so hard to get your ass to work out, and you're finally doing it, and I love your friend for pushing you. It's really good for you. Seriously, please, if you don't, consider it. Please consider it. And I've always struggled with sleep. Avid melatonin user, haven't taken it in a while. It makes a huge difference. Like it's just exercise. You really should consider. And this is a whole separate podcast that I can rant and rave about this. It's a whole separate podcast that I can rant about this. But exercise should not be optional in your mind. It should be like brushing your teeth. And if brushing your teeth is optional for you, you're nasty. Fucking brush your teeth too. Brush your teeth. Oh no. Oh god. We fucked up. It was worth it though. It was totally worth it. Anyway, but yeah, brush your teeth and work out. Do it. Anyway, okay. Next. Steer clear of food that can be disruptive before sleep. Heavier rich foods, fatty or fried meals, spicy dishes, citrus fruits, carbonated drinks. They're talking about carbohydrates here and fatty foods. Knox just mentioned that earlier. Also, keep in mind what we said earlier. If you're... I don't want to remove Rant. What the... Okay. If keep in mind what we talked about earlier, as you get more sleep deprived, your body's going to crave this more, and you're going to be less resistant to that craving. So just don't push it, man. If you're tired, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Anyway, ensure adequate exposure. Yes. Okay. So this is particularly important for individuals who may not venture outside frequently. Carly, exposure to sunlight during the day as well as darkness at night helps to maintain a healthy sleep-wake cycle. Yeah. So what they're talking about is your, I hope I say it right. Don't make fun of me. Circadian rhythm. So where I was talking, I think I mentioned it earlier. Like if you're staring at a bright screen, and there's a whole bunch of obsession about the blue light stuff, but it's really just light. And I'm quoting or semi-quoting, referencing the Andrew Hubbard guy. But anyway, light in general, like if you put a blue light filter on, you're going to be filtering out some light. But the reality is you're still taking on light. And one of the best ways to help get your mind into that zone of sleep is get away from bright lights. And the natural light can also be like a nice rhythm. So it's actually two different things we're talking about here. Sorry. Because oh no, they mentioned it all together. Okay. Anyway, so if you are, I'm gonna use myself as an example again because that's probably the easiest way to do this. So for me, this time of year in particular sucks. I hate it. I hate it. And the reason I hate it is because if I look outside right now, there's probably still sun. I have blackout curtains in here, but I can see light on my freaking door right there, and I hate it. I like when it gets dark. I do much better in the like winter time when the days are shorter. If it gets darker earlier, it really helps me. So like when I'm coming home from work and it's already kind of getting in that like evening time feel, I do so much better because I just feel like I need those hours of darkness before I really get tired. And I don't know if anybody else is like that, but having that, I don't know if you've ever had that experience though, like if you've gone camping or whatever, and then like you don't even need a clock because you just kind of like, okay, sun's up. We're going out, we're doing this, we're doing whatever. Sun's going down, we go back, we wind down, and you go to sleep. And you just kind of like by the natural cycle. I think technology is awesome, but I think it's also put us in a spot where we're kind of disconnected from nature in so many ways. And I think this is one of those ways where we aren't really following that natural rhythm. Establish your regular relaxing bedtime routine. Regular routine about helps the body recognize that as bedtime. Yes, kind of what we're just talking about. So you can do it with light, and then you also do it with all these other things. So doing things that help you kind of cool off from the day, and maybe things that can help you occupy your mind without getting too lost in the anxiety and everything else. Like you got to leave work with work, leave anxiety to the side, and focus on sleeping. What's to say? When possible, try to avoid upsetting conversations, activities before. Yeah, there you go. So you want to try to like be like, all right, listen, today sucked. It's fine. We're going to try to compartmentalize that, unplug from that for now. We need to get restful sleep. And hopefully with that sleep, we can come at it, be fresh in the morning, and figure it out in the morning. And I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but it's actually super crucial. And if you find where you're not able to do that, you really need to start analyzing what you can do to get yourself into that mind frame. Me personally, working out helps a ton with that. It sounds like it helps out some other people too. Yeah. So get the lights out of your face, get the calmness going, put on some lo-fi, put on some piano music, put on whatever you got to do. Just like get that mood down. Chill. And for me, that's one of the hardest things with streaming is because I get so ramped up while I stream that, and then I like cut it off at like 10:30 or cut off at 11. I can't just go to sleep. I don't have that unwind process. And so that's one of the things I'm trying to work on myself. And then make sure your sleeping environment is pleasant, mattress, pillows. Yeah. The bedroom should be cool between 60 and 67 degrees. I don't think Diana's going to let me do that. But I definitely like it cooler, snuggle in, that kind of thing. Bright lamps, cell phone, TV screens can make it difficult to fall asleep. Yeah, I actually have an Echo Show, and we have a couple, but I have a big one on my nightstand, and I actually have to turn it away from me now. I don't like it. It does like a black screen, but it's still brighter than the room. Just them if possible. Consider blackout curtains. Yep, love me some curtains. Eye shades, earplugs. I've recommended earplugs to one of my friends here recently because she's got loud neighbors. You know who you are. And white noise machines, humidifiers, fans, other devices can make a bedroom more relaxing. Yeah, so you just want to make it a nice, relaxing environment. Get you some eucalyptus mint, son. That stuff smells good. Mellows me out. So there you go. Sleep hygiene for you. I, like I said, strongly recommend the exercise, working out, that kind of thing. All right, we're not going to save that. All right, guys. Mind if I cheer here for a bit? Nah, man. Thanks for dropping by. We're just finishing up the Raven rant. We're talking about sleep today. Had a pretty good conversation. I don't know if it was. I don't know. How'd you feel about it, chat? Anything you wanted to bring up before we wrap this up? Let YouTube know about it. So while y'all are thinking about it, you absolutely can. The first thing I said was everybody needs more sleep. Stop being a butthole. So point number one, right? We're gonna put one on our thumb because we're weirdo. Point number one, everybody probably needs more sleep. Everybody probably needs more sleep. Number two, there's tons of negative effects. It can increase cortisol levels, which can cause weight gain, which can cause cravings for shitty food. It could cause irritability. Lack of sleep causes cognitive deficits, so you literally perform like you're drunk. So remember that statement. So like literally like you're drunk. Like 2 to 3 hours of sleep if you go drive, it's literally like you're driving drunk above the legal limit. There you go. So here you go. And for those of you who don't know, Ark is a content creator, and I'm sure he runs into the same problem I do, where it just feels like there's not enough hours in the day to get everything done. But you see, so I slept for 3 hours last night, and then slept again for 4 hours later for only like 1 hour. So I'm definitely sleeping well tonight. Yeah, you probably will. And one of the things we were talking about was sleep debt. So that was another point for you guys. So keep in mind that even though you do that and you do that extra hour, it's not bad for you that you did that hour, but it's not as good as a full night's rest. If you don't get in that REM sleep, you don't get in that deep REM sleep, you don't actually get the restorative the restorative process that your brain needs from sleep. So it can make you more alert, it can kind of perk you back up for the day, but you're probably not going to get what you need. Unplugging and prepping for sleep is super important. That's the other big thing. So we know what the negative aspects are. We talked about some reasons for it, which we just talked about just now. We're too busy. We're doing blah, 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 blah. Shut up. It doesn't matter. Sleep's important. Brush your teeth. You need to exercise. You need to brush your teeth. You need to sleep. Your dad's spoken. So we make excuses. Sleep's usually just the first thing to go because it feels like wasted time. But that's the whole point of this podcast. And if you're just coming in, please, I recommend, I'm going to put it up on YouTube as fast as I can. I know I'm slow about it. At the latest, it'll be up Friday. I'm going to do my best. But I really recommend it if you're someone who has bad sleep hygiene and whatever, check it out. But it's super important to unplug. It's super important to wind down. Dim your screens if you got to be on them. Switch over to chill music. If you've been listening to death metal all night, just switch it up to some lo-fi, get some piano music, all that kind of stuff. Glad my new headset is wireless. I just listened to everything you said from my living room. Dope. All right, cool. That works. Sick, you got a new headset, homie. Anyway, so good sleep hygiene is important. And don't forget that sleep is not a waste of time, people. You actually are solidifying the things you learned from the day. It's not a waste of time. I know you're going to feel like that. I know you're going to be working on a project and you'll be like, just let me get this done. If I just do 15 more minutes and then 15 more minutes turns into 30 minutes and 30 minutes turns into an hour, then an hour turns into an hour and 15 minutes. And then you're looking at the clock and you're like, shit, I got to work in the morning and I'm only going to get a few hours of sleep. Just go to bed. If you just go to bed, you're much better off. I know you got projects to finish, but if your schedule's so cramped, maybe you need to look at your schedule rather than sacrificing your sleep. Sleeping well does actually help weight loss. That is a fact. We actually looked at that on sleepfoundation.org. But you can look. There's tons of stuff on it. I referenced Stanford a lot throughout the podcast. Stanford has a lot of stuff on it. I recommend you do your research on that, but absolutely sleep does affect weight gain for several reasons. The cortisol levels, as we mentioned, I know I'm getting a little cyclical here, but since you brought it up, cortisol levels, we know for a fact causes weight gain, especially around the midsection and that kind of stuff, the spare tire area where Noxious said he had an 18-wheeler. It causes that, but it also as you get sleep deprived, you're much more likely to start to crave shitty food. And that I read that was in a Stanford article. They had a pretty cool study on it. I didn't actually go through the whole study, but you start to crave shitty food, salty food, high fat foods, all that kind of stuff. And then all of that stuff, once you crave it and then you eat it, it's bad sleep hygiene. So like that's what I was saying earlier, it all compounds. So really take note of that. Like everything compounds. It's good to have a nice schedule. You stick to your schedule. You do your workout. You eat right. You hydrate. I got you, Diana. I know you wanted to say that. You hydrate. and calm down, unwind, breathing exercises, whatever you got to do. There's some really cool breathing exercises. But you unwind and you handle it. All right, guys. You guys are awesome. I really love the input. YouTube, I hope you enjoy this. If you do enjoy this, please hit that subscribe button. Hey, if you guys in here haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, please go subscribe on YouTube. I really appreciate it. We're going to try to get this channel going. Eventually, we're going to get some gaming content on here, but for right now, let's just focus on these podcasts. And hit that subscribe button. If you really enjoy the content and you want to be active, in the chat, respond to me, please. Please see if you can't come in and hang out with us at 6:30 on Wednesday. So 6:30 Eastern on Wednesdays, we're going to do the Raven Rant. Episode 3 will be next week. My boy subscribed here. Thanks, man. Thanks, Ark. That's dope. Yeah, our subscriber numbers on Twitch have dropped off. That's cool, though. We've actually gotten a lot of followers recently. But yeah, so YouTube, please come be with us. Come chat. If you can't chat in here, I highly recommend checking out my Discord. The Discords will be linked below. But come chat in the Discord. We talk in the general chat. I have several people who are part of the community who are counselors. I'm a counselor by trade. Don't get it twisted. This is as a treatment, but we definitely are. Yeah, we got a new Raven. Welcome to the conspiracy. Woo! So we actually got a lot of counselors hang out in there. Don't come in there expecting treatment. Please do not come in there expecting treatment. But if you want to come in there and chat about like these cool ideas and stuff like that, yeah. The reason I say that is you got people who are passionate and knowledgeable about some of this stuff. So they wouldn't mind talking to you, and we can probably point you to some resources if you do feel like you're someone who needs that kind of thing. But I think that's it. So that's a wrap. All right. Catch you next week, guys.